Hey, everybody. It's your boy, Sean McLaughlin, at Option Sean on Twitter. This is the All-Star Options Jam session for Thursday, June 6th, 2024. Hope you're doing well. We are, for those of you who are first timers here, what we'd like to do is we'd like to have a little high level discussion of what we're seeing in the markets, how that might be affecting our positioning, how we're trading. Then we'll review some of our action and some of the open positions that we have on. I'll look in, you know, we'll discuss positions we've exited, whether for a profit or for a loss, any adjustments we might have made. We'll cover all that, and then we like to go through and update stops on existing positions we've been in for a while. It's just good best practice to try to hold on to as many of our gains as possible. It's a fine line, right? You want to hold on to as many gains as possible, but you don't want to give up too much, or you don't want to give it too much room, right? So we go through that, and then we review some of the newer positions we've put on since we last spoke. But before we get into any charts here, as always, I have to drop the old disclaimer that everything we discuss here is for educational purposes only. I'm showing you what I'm doing with my money, and I hope that you are learning something along the way. So speaking of learning something along the way, guys, if you have any questions, I'm going to do my best to monitor the chat section there on YouTube. So if you have any questions, type them in there. I will try to address them as they happen. But let's start at the top here. Let's go to my charts. Let's look at the S&P 500 at the SPY. You could see yesterday was a pretty significant day. I think it's even more pronounced if we look at the Qs. The Qs, we had a nice big green day yesterday where we're not necessarily following through today, but we're certainly holding on to yesterday's gains. Has the next leg in stocks begun? It certainly feels like it. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's buy everything. It's a buy everything market and just sit on your hands and count your gains. I'm not saying that. But yesterday's action and today's holding feels like very positive action. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Let's bring up the VIX real quick. I thought I had a ticker in that. There it is. There's the VIX. The VIX has come off over the last 5 days or so, getting back down to the lower levels. When VIX is low like this, generally speaking, if I'm taking any directional bets, whether bullish or bearish, generally speaking, it pays to be a owner of options premium. So that, I mean, buying options, paying debits to get into options, because premiums are cheap. And so whichever direction you're playing, you'll have a good opportunity to leverage into it at attractive prices. All right, so let's go into open positions here. I see that my screen froze. I hope you guys are enjoying that beautiful still photo of me right now. But that's all right. Pay attention to the charts. Let's go to recently closed positions in no particular order. Let's talk about Uber first. We got out of this one. When did we get out? Sorry, I don't have the thing updated here, but we got out on June 1st. And why did we get out on June 1st? Well, you guys have heard me talk about this before. When I hold an options position and the options are out of the money, and we get into the expiration month, which in this case, these were June options. Now, we got into these not too long ago. We got into this trade back on like May 21st or 22nd. So we didn't have a whole lot of time in this trade anyway. It was a short-term tactical bet. That's what we were doing. But when I get into the expiration month, if the long calls that I'm holding are out of the money, then it's time to get out of the trade, because now I'm racing against the clock. The clock is ticking. Whatever premium is left in those options, that theta is going to accelerate. The theta meaning the decay of the options value. So if the calls are, I'm just making numbers up, but if the calls are out of the money and they're trading for $1 today, well, each day that we get closer to expiration, that dollar is going to more rapidly erode at each coming day. So today it might lose 5 cents, tomorrow it might lose 10 cents, the next day it might lose 15 cents. So you see what I'm saying? The erosion gets more accelerated the further you get closer to expiration. So June 1st, we were holding these June 70 calls and they were out of the money. So we had to close them. I think I got out for like 40 cents, maybe 35 cents. When I put the trade on, it was kind of a it's all or nothing trade, right? It's either going to win or there's a good chance they might be a zero. So the fact that I got out for, I think, 30 cents, 35 cents, that's I'll take it. Those are the kind of losses I'll take every day. But we're out of Uber. All right, next up, IAG. You know what? I apologize. This thing does not seem to be updated for. I think my platform didn't changed my tickers on here. Let me just check something real quick. I just refreshed. It did not do it. Okay, we're gonna pull an audible here. I don't believe this is the right data. Um, hold on. Everybody stand by. Sometimes things don't work perfectly, and that's okay. I'm just doing a real quick review of my spreadsheet here of the trades that I exit. Uber, we definitely got out of very recently. But let's see here. IAG, we got out of that on the 24th. So that was last session. Nope. Oh boy, sorry guys. I'm sorry that this is just a little awkward for us. Yeah, I don't think one more. Nope, not there. Sometimes things just don't go perfectly, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. Nope, not there. And okay. Guess what, guys? I can't believe that I can't remember this other than that Uber. We haven't gotten out of anything. We haven't taken any profits. We haven't sold half. We haven't done anything. That means there's not that much to talk about in this section of our talk today. Boy, I thought I had this all lined up for you guys. I apologize. Okay, so moving on. We haven't exited anything, which is good. That means we weathered that little pullback that we had. Let's bring up the S&P chart real quick. Back here about 4 or 5 days ago when we were pulling back, a lot of our open positions, a lot of our long bias positions, not looking all that great. Thankfully, most of them held our stops. So we didn't get stopped out of too much during this period here. But we weathered the storm. In fact, let's just do this here. Let's go to my open positions. This, if you look on the right side of my screen here, these are all the open positions that I have on currently. At the top of the list, we got these are the percent changes today, but the Ego trade is working well. Coinbase is working well, something we got into recently. But nothing was exited this week. So that's good. So let's go through and update the stops. We only have a few updated stops that we need to talk about. Not a whole lot. Again, because the market had pulled back, nothing really advanced that far for us, and nothing to be too worried about. But let's talk about this C Limited. This is a trade that has June options. Okay, so we are approaching June expiration. We are along the June 65 calls. That's what we have left on this position. This was a risk reversal that we got into back in February, where we sold the June 35 puts and used those proceeds to buy the 65 calls. Well, right over here, right about in early May, we sold half of our calls for $6.40, and we covered all of our puts for 15 cents. So we're already sitting on guaranteed profits in this trade, and we have a half position of our calls left. But because we're now in June and these options expire in 2 weeks, we need to be more aggressive with our trailing stop. So right now my stop is at 65.75, right below the low of 5 days ago. As we move forward now, every day I'm reviewing my stop and I'm setting a trailing stop at a 3 to 5 day low. And I use a little discretion there, but I want to have the low against an obvious support level. But since we have 5 straight green candles here, which is a great problem to have, but tomorrow we'll be moving the stop up below this candle here, the June 3rd candle. So this stop tomorrow will be updating to about 67.75. And I'm going to keep doing that until we get to expiration. I mean, in a perfect world, this thing doesn't go down at all. At the worst case, it goes sideways, but let's hope it just keeps, trudging higher and we get out of this thing on or close to expiration day near the maximum value that this trade ever had for us. That would be great. That doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does. It has happened to us before. So let's hope that happens here. But for now, 65.75 is my stop in C Limited, and I will be raising it tomorrow, and I'll be reviewing it every day. And if you're not in the All-Star Options Telegram chat room, what are you waiting for? Get in there. I will have an update about this trade every day in there. Well, not every day, but when there's an update to be had about this stop, I will put it in there so that you will see it. All right, next stop, AZN. This is a trade we got into not too long ago, middle of May. We bought the January 85 calls for 285. We're moving our stop up now to 76. This little pullback that we just endured in a lot of our stocks, that's a pretty significant low there. I don't want to see that low get lost, right? That seems very significant. We had a wonderful bounce off of it. So we're using that low now as our pivot level, and that corresponds with right around 76. So 76 is our new stop in AZN. Let's go, baby. Next up, Google. This is a trade we've been in since mid-April. We're long a call spread, and we used a short put spread to pay for it. We are moving our stop now up to 164.50, which basically corresponds with this intraday low here. This on what date is that? That's May 14th. The stock gapped down and basically traded higher the rest of the day. So that low feels pretty significant. It corresponds pretty well with this whole gap. This was an earnings gap. So the low is at 164, or the low of that gap area basically is 164.50. Also corresponds nicely with the rising 50-day moving average. So for both of those reasons, this is my new stop level in the Google trade, 164.50. As long as we're above 164.50, we're going to keep holding this trade for a little while longer. And in the coming days and weeks, if and when Google breaks above this high from mid-May, then we'll start leaning against this low here on May 31st. This little pivot, this will become our new stop eventually, but not now, not yet. 164.50 is our new stop in Google. Finally, our last updated stop is in Rocket. This has been no surprise. It's a rocket. It's been a wild ride. We got into this trade back in early May, and it like took off for us in the first few days. It was looking great. And then it came back and just decided to chop around and consolidate. But you know what? This consolidation, this little sideways action here, to me feels incredibly bullish. I'm actually now feeling really good about this trade. We're long the September 15 calls. We paid $1.34. I am raising my stop just below this consolidation area to 1350. This is a great consolidation area and I like it, but if we lose this consolidation area, then I'm not too happy about the trade. So 1350 is the new stop in Rocket. Let me check the old chat here, see if I missed any questions from you guys. Let's see. How do you feel about Michael Martin's strategy where he starts small, then adds more contracts over time? And what do you do starting large, then trimming and what do you do starting large, then trimming down? Okay. What Michael Martin does for himself is great and it works for him. And I've got no problem with that. I don't do that with options. If I were an equities trader or a futures trader, I probably would. In fact, I was a commodities trader in a former life. I ran a small hedge fund and I used to buy into positions. I used to add to them as they were winning. I would build into a position, one unit at a time. And that was a great strategy. But with options, I don't really do that. I just get in, I let the odds of the strategy play out for me. I'm not necessarily building positions. Now, sometimes we do. Of course, definitely. Sometimes we do build positions, and that's part of the strategy. We lay that out on day one, but I don't leg into the positions. And part of the reason for that is because I'm not trading huge, right? I'm not building, 80 contract positions in Rocket options, right? I'm buying 5, 10, I'm keeping my risk small. I trade small on purpose, right? I don't want any one trade to be the tail that wags the dog of my portfolio. I mean, it's great when you have a trade that becomes a big winner and becomes a large part of your portfolio, but that comes with added portfolio volatility that makes it really hard for you to stay, or at least for me, to stay on an even keel and make smart decisions. When my portfolio volatility is all over the place, I'm at risk of making bad decisions, and I don't want that. So I trade small deliberately. I don't need any one position to make my year, although that does happen from time to time. But I also don't want any one position to hurt me too bad, right? All in at the end of the year, when you look at all of my losses, most of my losses tend to be of a similar size, a similar dollar amount, or a similar percentage amount, right? Whereas my winners could be all over the place. I could have a bunch of big winners, a bunch of small winners, a bunch of medium winners, but the losses tend to always be right in the same price range. All right. Okay. I don't see any other questions there. That's great. All right. Last thing we'll talk about is the new trades we've put on since we last spoke. If you want the details of any of these trades, you can find them at allstarcharts.com. Go to the members section, go to the options section. You'll have detailed trading plans for every trade that we put on, why we got into them, what we like about the setup, what strategy we're using, where we're managing risk, where we're stopping out, where we're taking profits. All of that is laid out from day one. You've got everything you need from day one you put the trade on. All those details are on the website. If you don't have access to that, come hit us up. Info at allstarcharts.com, and we'll get you involved. So I won't get into the full details of these trades here, but I will tell you this Bill Holdings Inc., ticker BILL. We put a short position on here. I mean, look at this thing. This is a weak dog, and we put this trade on if for no other reason. We put it on as a portfolio hedge because we have a bunch of long exposure on. And if the market's going to roll over anytime soon, a stock like Bill is likely to lead the charge lower. And this chart is, I mean, look at this chart. It's from the upper left to the bottom right. It's not looking good. So we have a bearish trade on Bill. Next up is Coinbase. We put a bullish trade on Coinbase this week. Loving this setup. We feel like if if the crypto bull market is about to really pick up steam again and start its next leg higher, we really feel like Coinbase is one of those names that is definitely going to benefit both fundamentally and technically, right? If Bitcoin's breaking out to 100,000, I have a hard time believing Coinbase is not going to follow along with it. And next up, our last new position this week is On. This is On Holdings, ticker ONON. They make sneakers. It's a fashion company, right? Based in where are they? Switzerland, I believe. I don't know for a fact, but I know they're out of the country. But we like this setup, and what I really like about this one, I talked about it on the morning show this morning with JC. If any of you watched, if I let me zoom out here, let me pull up like a weekly chart. Let me see if a weekly chart shows it. Yes, it does. Okay. So right here in September of 2021, on the far left side of my screen, this was the IPO day. Okay. Or the IPO week right here. Stock IPO'd around, I don't know, 38 bucks, or it looks like the opening trade was around 35. You know, the days and weeks immediately following an IPO, price action is often all over the place. And sure enough, in the within the first couple of months, ONON printed an all-time high, right around 55 bucks a share. Okay. Well, since then, since that IPO, since that high, we've come off and we've consolidated. We've consolidated very well. This, to me, feels like very constructive consolidation. Well, the stock is trading at 42 right now, and it's starting to break out. It's a leader. It's in a great sector. The consumer discretionary sector is one of the leading sectors in the market right now. So it's where you want to be if you're whether a trader or investor. And I talked about, again, like I said, I talked about this morning, but stocks like this that has the potential to make and break to the first all-time high following the IPO period. Like I consider this, these first few months, the IPO period, right? The first new all-time high following an IPO period, to me, is a very bullish development. And the fact that it's a recent IPO, it's a hot fashion name, it's a smaller company. All these ingredients can come together and really make potential for a very large move. Now, I'm not saying this stock's going to double while we're holding it, but it could. These are the types of stocks that make those kinds of moves. So I'm pretty excited about this trade, but of course I got a whole plan of where I'll get out. Only price pays, as my friend Brian Shannon says. And if the price reverses on us, then we're either early or we're wrong. Either way, I don't care. I'm not going to stick around to find out which one is the answer. I'm just going to exit the trade and protect what is remaining of my capital. But again, if you want the details for that trade, please go to allstarcharts.com and go to the members section and the options section, and you'll find all the detailed details there. All right, everybody. As always, let me throw up this little slide here for those of you who ask for it. You could take a little screenshot of this slide if you want. These, just to review, these are the updated stops that we have this week in AZN, Google, and Rocket. So if you're following along with those stops, there you go. And as always, if you have any questions about anything we've discussed here, or if you want to get involved in All Star Options, shoot us an email, info@allstarcharts.com. Follow me on Twitter. I am Options Sean. I know it's only Thursday, but I'm telling you right now, have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on the morning show next week. Until then, take care.